Welcome to Yelling Into the Void, a podcast discussing and exploring topics in World of Warcraft. I'm Tevin. I'm joined as always by Scott.
Hello.
And guys, we get to watch some really interesting Race to World First gameplay tomorrow. You know, really talented, very highly paid people probably are going to be casting over people doing normal and heroic.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But by the time people are listening to this episode, they'll still be doing splits. But by the time people that listen to this episode on Friday are listening to this episode, they'll probably still be doing splits. But Saturday, man, Saturday, probably.
Is that your vote? Saturdays when we're going into Mythic?
I have no idea. I think it depends on how many characters people are running. I would guess Friday or Saturday. Yeah, but I don't know.
From what I've heard, at least from one of our friends, was Fired Up has 9 mages. So I don't know if that means Liquid's running 9 characters, but
that seems about right, because I know like they had 16 or 17 characters in season 1, but that was almost entirely because there was a heroic week, so they were able to fit in more. So 9 seems right. I say it seems right. It's ridiculous, and I wish we could find a way to stop this nonsense, but it is what it is.
But yeah, so for all that aren't aware or don't keep up with competitive WoW, the Race to World First obviously will start with the patch dropping tomorrow, and that is because Raid opens up, and that is Heroic, Normal, and Mythic all open up, just like in Season 2. They all are dropping on the same week. So
how do we feel about this? So they did Heroic week and week in Season 1, and then they have not done it in the last 2, and that seems like it's going to be the trend, that they'll do a Heroic week for the first week of the first season of the expansion, because people are leveling up and they need a little bit more time, but they're just not going to do that for the patches after that. Is that a good thing?
Is it a good or a bad thing? I don't know. Personally, I don't like Heroic Week because it gets you into this really weird scenario with Mythic Plus, where either Mythic Plus is awarding you way better gear than you can get from the raid, or what they have been doing in the past, recent past, they just don't let you get up to a specific reward state until Mythic releases, and I don't really like that.
Yeah, like you can only do 6s or something like that. Yeah. It's weird and clunky. I agree. I mean, we'll talk about this week and how this week was for us in a little bit, but yeah, I think that would be. The two systems just don't mesh well in some ways, and I think that's one of them for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to say whether it's good or bad, I don't necessarily know. I'm going to be honest and go out on a limb and say that Mythic Raiders don't really like doing splits, so probably the pressure to do less of them is better for them, but also I don't think it's going to change anything. Like, if coming into a new expansion, they have to do an entire like re-gear, right? Like going season between season is not that big of a deal compared to going from an expansion to an expansion.
Sure.
So the likelihood that they would really reduce the amount of splits they would do anyways is, I'm going to go out on a limb and just say pretty low. I bet they would still do a ton of splits.
They're going to always do it. As long as there's any kind of advantage to eke out there, they're going to do it. It's just part of the game. It's like saying to a professional athlete, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't like jogging. It's like, well, you kind of have to though. Or else you're not going to have as good of endurance. So yeah, I mean, it's just part of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah, but all right, Scott. Well, to jump into the news for the week, and I guess a couple of special announcements here at the beginning. First things first, I haven't said anything yet on this show, but I will be having a baby here in the next week.
What?
So yeah, don't act surprised, Scott. You knew this one.
This is news to me.
Uh-huh. So anyways, what that means is next week's show will not happen. We won't be able to record next week, nor will I probably want to.
Yeah. I just want the fine people out there listening home to know that there was a brief moment where Tevin was like, well, maybe I could like bring my laptop into the delivery room and be editing. And I was like, Tevin, no. Tevin, no.
I did not say that. I said I might be able to record before we left, and then you could edit. But
I don't know how to do that.
That's not happening.
He's just covering
But
because he knows his wife's listening to this podcast and he doesn't want to get in trouble. I get it.
but anyways, that also comes with another announcement for the schedule of the podcast. So Scott, at least potentially Scott and I will both be raiding with a guild that raids around the time that we normally record these podcasts.
Yep.
So that being said, we will likely be changing our release after we return, probably the following week after next. I'm not sure what days we're going to release yet. We've floated a couple of ideas, but nothing set in stone. So when I know, I will let you guys know. But yeah, the schedule is changing and no podcast next week because I'll be having a baby. But that's the two major announcements for today.
Just to be clear, Tevin is not he himself having the baby. I just wanted to make sure everyone listening knows that it's his wife.
That is true. She will be doing all the work. I will just reap all the benefits after.
Look, here's what I'll say. As someone who's experienced this process 2 times now, it's obviously worse for the woman than it is for the man, but the freaking couch they make you sleep on, dude, it's the worst. It's the worst thing in the world. It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, we can trade some stories about that when I come back next week, Scott.
Welcome to the Dad Couch
I'm sure
Club.
It's going to be an experience.
Yeah.
But for World of Warcraft this week, there were a couple of things to talk about. And a lot of this we're going to cover like in the main section, so not going to go into a ton of detail here. But Tazavesh hard mode is returning. We've known this. But the reward structure that they did for Dawn of the Infinite is also returning. So if you have a Deathless run, everybody is going to get a myth track piece of gear. Now, there's a change to that. And like I said, we'll cover that a little later in the episode. But it's a pretty significant change. So, I don't necessarily know how I feel about this one yet. But anyways, there was some last second tuning changes, mainly for Warlocks and Death Knights.
Nerfed.
Is it going to be enough to pull them in line? I don't know. Dratnos is predicting 3 Death Knights in the Race to World First, like general comp. So maybe they'll only have 2.
Yeah, I think we might see that shift a little bit. I mean, like based on my understanding, the top 5 DPS classes at the moment had all 3 Warlock specs in them. So maybe Warlocks deserved a little bit of a nerf. But yeah, all this last minute tuning stuff always makes me a little bit nervous because it's like, did you rush this? Did you fully test the effect of this before you just push this live right before the raid opens? Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
And then the last thing, I guess, kind of 2 things. We did get some spoilers about the midnight announcement. I guess leaks more than spoilers.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
They did
I'm not.
Oops.
I definitely don't think this was intentional.
Nope.
But we did get a little bit of a look into what the announcement is going to be for midnight as far as like pre-order bonuses and stuff like that go. So we'll cover that as well here in a little bit. I guess the last thing, it came out after we had kind of discussed the script, was there were some trinket changes, which they're all delve trinkets, and then removed the ability for tanks to use one of the trinkets at a Tazavesh effectively. So nothing really of note there. And then there were some dungeon changes. Man,
I still really, really hate this arbitrary, like if a tank or healer uses this DPS trinket, they do less DPS shit. I really don't like it. Like, I'll let people do it. Like you are basically choosing not to have a defensive trinket or choosing not to have a trinket that buffs your healing. You're choosing to hurt yourself in that way for more output. Why is that not a thing that we can balance between in our decision-making process? It's so stupid. I do not like this. They need to revert this.
I have a feeling that this is still like a splash effect from when Brewmaster monks in Dragonflight were being taken just because they could like Weapons of Order and get like a huge verse buff, and then they'd press their trinkets, and like that would be like the majority of their damage.
So
like, I have a feeling
fix
that's
that.
What this is.
Fix that. Don't ruin it for me.
But yeah, and then there are some dungeon changes as well.
It's all nerfs.
I guess.
All nerfs.
Yeah, they are all in nerfs. And if we have time, we can go over them. If you haven't done the dungeons on Mythic Plus, though, like the likelihood you're even going to notice any of these changes is pretty slim. I think the one that's going to stand out the most is the final boss of Halls. Just doesn't do one of his mechanics now, and it's the big like circles that you run out of. So that might be noticeable. The rest of them you probably didn't even care about this week.
They took a boss that was already like a nothing burger. Like there's nothing to do on that boss, and they made it even easier. It's so it's so wild to me. Whatever.
I'm assuming wholly assuming that this is due to like almost specifically priests, like and priests' inability to get out of that without like having pre-planned the fact that they need to have movement speed or something.
Just
I don't know.
Get better at your feather. I think they need to give priests a reverse grip where you grip yourself to someone else. I think that would be a good move.
There's a game that has something like that.
No, don't be ridiculous. Wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah, there's a character in Final Fantasy that can just jump themselves to other people.
We're not allowed to compare World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy anymore because it makes people angry. So don't do it.
But, well, let's jump into the main stuff, Scott, because we've got a lot to talk about. I don't even know that we're going to get through all of this, and we don't have an episode next week to fall back on for when we ultimately don't get through all of this. So, yeah.
I can't believe, by the way, that the season is starting and you're just abandoning the podcast. Like, what kind of person would abandon the podcast right after a new season starts? Like, what kind of person would do
who's
that?
ever done that before?
Yeah.
Also, should I just go abandon my family instead?
The joke is it was me. I did that. I did that exact thing last time.
So Scott, we do need to talk about this week a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean it's probably going to take us a while to get through because there's a lot going on this week, and I really want to get like our feelings on it.
Yeah,
but also I want to talk about everything that has happened this week, everything that was released, and all of that. So I guess the first thing that we need to talk about is, because this is something you and I were very excited for, is that we actually had content to do this week and content that was meaningful. Was it enough for you?
Yes. 100%. Okay. Yeah. Simple answer.
I will say I have heard from others who play the game significantly more that it still feels like not enough things to do, but I don't necessarily know that is a problem, I guess.
Like, I think us World of Warcraft players need to take a moment and just look around and like smell the void roses for just a little bit. Like there's going to be plenty of time this season to go hard and to go nonstop and to grind. Let's just take a little bit and enjoy the game for what it is. And I think that's what the season lets us do, while still being an improvement on Undermine, in that there was just nothing to do. I agreed with the sentiment that in Undermine, you do the story quest, it takes like 2 hours, and then that's it. You're done. What else do I have to do? Didn't like that. Thought that the introduction of the M0s made M0s relevant again. Even if temporarily, even if very temporarily. I'm never going to set foot in another one of these things again as soon as the patch comes up tomorrow. But even temporarily, it made me do those again. I think it worked. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. So the nice part, excuse me, the nice part about this is if you are somebody who likes to do alts, this was like the perfect piecemeal content for you to like prep your alts for this season.
Yeah.
Because not only like is there really alt friendly stuff going on here, but also like doing 8 Mythic Plus dungeons Mythic 0 dungeons, doesn't really take you all that long, and it gets you shot at a pretty decent gear. The only downside to this, and I put this in the script because it really does like rub me the wrong way, the amount of delves you need to do, it just is a little bit crazy. Like if you are somebody who's good at delves, or a class that's good at delves, or enjoy doing these things, then you probably had a heyday this week. And they introduced some like Dark Souls mechanics where you can see your dead friends and everything like that. And that was cool. But man, I did more delves than I wanted to do this week because I had to unlock tier 8 delves. And then I had to do 8 tier 8 delves or higher. and then I had to do that again on another character, but I also had to get my delve belt on them. So while while doing the tier 8 delves, I was also having to go back to Dornagal after every single delve to go get my belt upgrade. So yeah, I don't want to do delves anymore, Scott. I just don't.
Okay, but like, to be clear, you didn't have to do any of that. Like, the advantage you're getting from having a tier 8 delve vault next week is like minuscule. It's tiny. Like, I did it. Of course I did. I did it on 3 characters. So like, I'm not like coming at you with judgment here, but like, we're min-maxing. Like, we're like, there's not that much to do, and so we're going to do the thing that takes a lot of time and a little tiny bit of reward, because that's what we do. But like, you definitely don't have to do. I mean, this is the thing that my quitting the game when I did like really cemented in myself, is that none of this shit matters. Like, none of it matters. And like, I had fun with it, although I agree with you, I was definitely sick of delves by the end of it. But like, it's so minuscule of a head start that you're getting on someone that doesn't do this. It's nothing. Like, you're gonna have your 4-piece by like week 2, week 3 at maximum, and you're gonna be getting heroic gear like tomorrow, right? So like, it's just like, it's so funny that we do this to ourselves, but I totally agree. Like, I did this on 3 characters, and I did my M0s on a 4th character, and I was like, okay, I'll do the delves, and then I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. They're so boring. They're so boring. Like,
So
I, they're so boring.
I was gonna say, if you're a class that's like all right at doing delves, it's really not a problem. Like going through and doing this on my hunter was like, whatever. I went through, I unlocked tier 8s, and then I went ahead and I was like, this is super easy on BM, so I'll just go unlock my tier 11 delves because why not? And so I did that. So that was my first like 3 or 4 delves of the 8 that I needed, and then I knocked out the rest. And on BM, it's super like, I don't even think about it. Like, delves are just a joke because I deal a decent amount of damage. My pets tank everything, and if they need healed, I just pick up the vials.
Yeah.
I did it on a Shadow Priest afterwards, and dude, I don't get how people do this shit on DPS specs that don't have something to tank for them, because that was fucking miserable. And
Yeah.
like, I was watching Tettles do the like pinnacle delve boss thing this week and not having anything to tank for, like, it just seems fucking awful.
Yeah, well, and the tank brand is like the most useless shit ever. So I do them as a healer, which is very, very easy. It's not hard at all. It just takes a long time. And there are some that I'll run as a healer with a DPS brand, not a tank brand, because like Fungal Folly, for instance, like with tank brand, Fungal Folly is the worst fucking delve, because all you want to do is kite the stuff over the fungus explosions to kill it all, but like Bran will just take them somewhere else, and he'd be like, you son of a bitch, bring them back over here. So I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna tank it on a Mistweaver. And that, I mean, like, it's not hard. Like, it's not hard. So I've been thinking about delves a lot, because everyone wants to talk about delves, and then this week and next week and maybe the week after are going to be like the times in the patch cycle that you and I are doing the most delves. We are going to do all our bountiful delves next week. We might do 4 more the week after next. I think it depends on how we finish out next week. And then we're basically going to be done with them at that point. But I go back and forth on this. So like, I've been a long proponent of these are bad and boring. I want to be clear here. I think having solo content that allows you to advance up the gearing ladder is a good thing for the game. I do. I think that's a good thing for the game. I just think these things are boring, and they're not. I just don't think it's. They're very popular. They're very popular with a segment of the player base, right? Like people like you and me say they're boring and don't want to do them. People at the level above us say that. People at the level below us, though, love them. And I was thinking about this a lot, and I was thinking of like, what is the comp in World of Warcraft to what delves are right now? And I think I realized that the comp is basically dungeons. Like from let's say Wrath of the Lich King through when Mythic Plus got introduced into the game. If you weren't a raider and you wanted to gear up, or even if you were a raider and you wanted to gear up, what did you do? You did queuing for dungeons, right? You would queue into a dungeon, you would run the dungeon. It was a cakewalk, it was easy. Like it was not meant to be challenging content, and it would get you tokens or points or gear itself, and that's what you would do. And so basically, Delves have just replaced that, except it's able to be done completely solo now. So like, I guess looking at it, I'm like, okay, I guess I get it. I guess I get it. If people want that, if people want there to be a system in the game where you can just like hit queue and immediately go into something and do it and get gear, sure. I just feel like maybe we could do a little bit better. That's what I feel.
Yeah, the only problem that I really have with Delves is just the like difficulty difference between specs. Like if that was fixed, I don't think that these would be that big of a deal, because my Shadow Priest like had worse gear than my Hunter, sure, but not by much. Like we're talking like 5 item levels maybe.
Yeah,
of difference.
Well, it's just impossible to do that in a system that's designed to be soloed by anyone. Like how do you do that? Like if the thing doesn't drastically change depending on which class you are, which role you are, like there's just going to be some that it's a cakewalk and there's going to be some that's impossible. It's just going to happen every time. What I hope for, if we're looking towards midnight and this is going to be an evergreen system, Delves are going to be back, they're going to be part of the game from now on. What I hope for is some more creative design in Delves that is not just kill mobs. I actually like the Fungal Folly one where you can kill most of the mobs you have to kill using the spore explosions. I think that's really fun, and it's a creative way of like, oh, I'm a lower DPS class or I'm a healer, but I can do this really quickly because I've figured out how to drag these things over these exploding spores and they help me. The most frustrating fucking aspect of that one, though, is that for some reason the boss at the end of the delve is just like, no, sorry, that tech doesn't work on me. Also, I have a billion hit points. Like, I do hate that the majority of the delves always have a boss at the end of it, and the boss is always, and this is coming from a healer perspective, is always an HP sponge. It just takes forever to die. It's not like the mechanics are hard. It's like it's mind-numbingly easy, but it just takes forever, and it's so boring. And so, like, I hope that they look towards mixing it up a little bit and not just having it be fighting stuff, killing a boss. I hope that they look at the companion and make the companion better, because Bran sucks. Tank Bran is not fun. So for those that don't know, Tank Bran has this stacking buff on him that increases his damage, and that buff, it goes on him by healing him, and it counts overheal. So like technically the thing you're supposed to do as a healer in Delves is just spam heals on Bran nonstop, no matter what, to maximize his DPS, which is so lame. It sucks. And then like, so you're doing your resto druid rotation, you're in cat form, and then you look over and you're like doubling Bran's DPS. And it's like, oh, because I haven't healed him, but he's tanking and I don't need to heal him. He's fine. And it's just like, it doesn't work. And so I hope that they look at the healer one, the DPS one, the tank one. I hope in future they make these companions better, because I haven't interacted with NPCs in combat that much in this game, but Bran has to be like one of the most miserable experiences in that regard. He's really frustrating. We're going to talk about the challenge, the Kaveza challenge, and the other two one from the previous seasons in a little bit. But like Bran was so frequently like pissed me off annoying in those challenges as well. So I hope they make the AI a little bit better and improve the thing. I think there's work to be done here. But I guess I begrudgingly understand why this is so popular with so many people.
So the last thing we need to talk about with delves, specifically like the not hard mode delve things, not the boss, is how do you feel about the like phase diving events in delves, the portals that pop up and let you like finish the delve early?
It's like it's the happiest I've ever been in my entire life when I round the corner and there's one in front of me and I can just be like, yay.
Just get to ignore the rest of the delve, go kill a boss or a couple ads, and then you're done.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, so I've gotten it only a couple times. I don't know what the percentage chance on it is, but I think I got bad luck on a couple of my characters because I never saw it. But one of the ones I got was the one where you have to kill the underpin. Is that his name? You have to kill the special one from season 1 and season 2, and that was actually like I saw that and I was like, "Fuck, this is gonna take forever." Actually, it's gonna take longer than the actual delve, but it's the version of that nemesis mob that would show up in your delves during those seasons, which means they go away at 50% health and die pretty quickly. So that was great. That was fun. I cracked up laughing at that. That was great. So yeah, I love that. I love it as like a way to mix things up, and you feel so happy when it happens. I hope that's something I hope that's something they look into carrying forward into future iterations of delves. And B, I think if you are a designer of the delve system and you are looking at this thing that you've added that people are in love with that lets you skip to the end of your delve, maybe that's a symptom that the content you've made is not very fun and you should go back to the drawing board on it. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. The seeing the portal for the first time was nice. There is one, and I don't know if you ran into this one, but you fight a boss when there's just like these wave of balls flying at you, and there's like small little areas that you can like fit in between. It's a lot like the first boss is in the raid, where it's just like there's this wall of things coming at you the whole time, but you're also still having to fight the boss. I don't know. It's just a bunch of movement. It's not difficult, but it was really interesting to me to kind of do that fight and have to mess around with that mechanic while also paying attention to the boss and what he's doing and the frontals he's doing and everything.
That's fun. That's
pretty cool.
The only ones I've ever seen you're in the room where like the two trains go through the sides. And I never actually tested it, but I'm assuming if I put mobs in that lane, it'll hit the mobs too. Delves are normally pretty good with that. If there's some environmental damage, that it will hurt the mobs as well. So
yeah. Okay, so enough with delves.
Well, sort of. We're going to talk about delves a little bit.
Well, we'll talk about a boss specifically in the delves later. But I do want to talk about like the absolute best thing going into this patch that I didn't even know was a thing. Like, I knew that there was going to be a skip for the cape for your ults. Like, I knew that. And I knew that there was probably going to be a campaign skip. But man, we need to talk about how fucking good they finally nailed this. Like, the campaign skip puts you right when you go get your cape. You can get your cape right then. You can honestly get it before you do the skip. If you just fly to the people, it just gives you the quest. You pick it up, you get the cape, you're good to go. And then to top it all off, the best part of this, the item level and power of your cape is account wide. Yep. You don't have to go redo or get any fucking additional shit. Just you do it on your one character. Every cape is that item level. Every cape has the ability to get the same points. And that, I think, is what really made it to where they like nailed this for alts.
Yeah, I agree. I have the cape on 6 characters. Every single one of my healers, I just went and got it because it took like literally 3 minutes once you've done the campaign once. It's great. I love it. I don't know how I feel about the Rishi wrap in general, though. I am very thankful that they made this painless for your alts, and I think it should continue that way. I feel like the thing itself is a little weird. So they buffed the hell out of the effect, and the effect is very good. Like, for DPS players, it's doing a lot of damage. For healers, the shielding is noticeable for sure. It's weird to me that they built basically like a talent track for it, and then it's like just a straight line. And like, I realized all they did was like visualize the way the thing like upgrades, and then visualize the different abilities that are unlocked when you do the thing. But like, an unintended consequence of this, perhaps, when you just draw it in a straight line, you're just like, oh, this is kind of boring. And it is kind of boring. And you know, we talked about this whole thing, this idea of borrowed power, and this idea of maybe borrow power itself wasn't the problem. Maybe it was the implementation of the borrow power in the past. These forever grinds that require you to spend a ridiculous amount of time grinding AP or whatever. Maybe there's a way to bring borrowed power back to the game without doing that. And this isn't it, I think. I think this is much, much, much better than our Circe Circlets, our Annulets, our Delve Belt. I think it's a better implementation of those things, but it is still, in my mind, essentially borrowed power light, where it is just this thing, and it's just going to be ridiculously easy to get it. You're not going to really feel it very much. Like for a DPS class, it's just like, oh, you're going to do extra damage. For a healer, it's just like, oh, you're going to do extra healing, or there'll be a shield. For a tank, it's like, oh, well, it sucks. It sucks for you. Sorry. But like, I don't know. It doesn't change anything. It's just like, I like the lore. I like the flavor of it. I like the fact that you have an extra action button on a couple bosses based on it. I like all that stuff. But like, if this is like a preview of what their version of borrowed power in WoW 3.0 is going to look like in this new phase of World of Warcraft, it's a little underwhelming in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you and I have had this conversation about the talent tree before, and I said the same thing. Like, if you're going to make it a straight line, you're not going to give us any choices. Do it like you did with the BFA cloak, where at specific item levels or specific upgrades, it just does an additional thing. Like, you don't need to have me go select said thing to make it happen. You haven't had me do that in the past, so you don't need to have me do that now. Now, again, to your point, is it better for clarity? Yes, 100% it is, because it's easy to pull up the track, see what it does, see what level you get it at, and yada, 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 instead of having to go through and like pull up a Wowhead article or a blue post and see like everything detailed out for you. You can do it in game. So I guess on one hand, I appreciate it from that. But on another hand, if you're going to give us like a talent tree, but not give us choices, I don't know. Like, I feel almost the same way about this as I do hero talents, kind of, because
I was
like hero talents, you have like 2 or 3 choice nodes depending on your spec and your hero talent, but that's it. And then you get all of them instead. Like, it's this 3 branching path, but you just get to pick all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to complain, because normally I want all of them, so that's fine. But it just doesn't really feel like there's that much of a choice, and the choice nodes that you get aren't on most things aren't super impactful. It's more of like a utility choice node, or like, how does it specifically interact with things, not necessarily changing everything like the hero talent itself does.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the reveal of how kind of empty the hero talent system is the fact that you can shrink it down to only the ones that change, and it just shrinks it down to 4 talents, or for some specs even have less than that. And then you look at the changes, and what I've noticed with those is either it doesn't matter, or it matters so much that you will just never pick the other option no matter what. And that feels weird. I agree with you. Like this real desire to like give us everything, and it's like, you know, this listening to the player thing, and so we're just going to give you everything. You're not going to have to make any difficult choice about anything ever. It's like, well, it feels good in the moment, but that's because we're stupid idiot like dopamine slaves that want all the things at all the time. Like, the point of a game structure is to regulate that stuff and not and make us choose and make us decide and not give us all the things at all moments. So yeah, I think it does expose hero talents a little bit as well. Like, you know, we've talked so much about what are they going to do in Midnight with the advancement, and I would not be surprised if they just take the hero talents and just say, okay, that's baked in now and just done, and you don't even see it anymore. It's just part of the spec or whatever. Because they could just so easily bake all the things into passives or whatever. Because like for the most part in a hero talent tree, the only ones that matter are the first one and the capstone, and that's pretty much it. There's some exceptions, of course, but Yeah, so like I like the Rishi rap from a lore perspective. Like I enjoyed the story of, we haven't really talked about that, but like I enjoyed the story of the campaign so far. I was into it. I thought it was good and entertaining. I think the zone is beautiful and the lore is great. And having this thing on our backs as the reason why we're getting into the raid and the reason why we're going to get further against the evil bosses we're fighting, like that's cool from a lore perspective. But yeah, it's just this thing. It's just like from a combat perspective, it's just this thing that I'm gonna have on my back, and I'm gonna see pink shields on everyone randomly. I'm like, oh, that was me. I did that.
I do have one question for you about the whole zone. So you and I have always, throughout the entirety of the War Within, like talked up Hollowfall and
Yeah.
how amazing that zone is, and just flying through it and how picturesque it is. I want to make the argument that Koresh is like up there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like the skybox for Koresh is awesome.
Dude, that I mean that planet in the background with Demencius, yeah, like that shit looks cool as shit. Like you just be flying around and it just like is awe-inducing in the perfect kind of way. Yeah, I mean I saw some people complaining about Koresh that it like feels sparse and empty, and like that's my response to that is like, good job, Blizzard. Like you did exactly what you wanted to accomplish there. It's the deserted husk of a dead world. It should feel sparse and empty. That is part of the point. Now, I think it's a fair critique to say, I was like, okay, well, that's good from like a design perspective, and an artistic perspective, but does it make for a fun, engaging zone? I don't know. I feel like it does. I mean, it's very reminiscent of Netherstorm, our time in Netherstorm in my mind, and I enjoyed that zone, and I like the ecodomes. I like how those break up kind of the sameness of the desert around them, and give a hint towards what Koresh looked like in its heyday. I've enjoyed it all. I think it's a fun zone to navigate. I do think it's a little weird that the ecodome that the dungeon takes place in is seemingly not in the zone. I was surprised by that we just go somewhere else. And like I kept looking around, I kept flying around on my first day. I was like, where's Aldani? Where's that ecodome? I'm not seeing it here. And that's because it's not. It's just, you fly on a boat to it from the instance portal.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. The other thing is we talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but we definitely talked about this over the past week, where it's like having assets be reused both in dungeons and then in the overworld probably saves them a decent amount of time. Like we were talking about this when we were talking about Floodgate.
Yeah.
And then another experience is the can't think of the name of the dungeon, but the dungeon that takes place in the Anaran Plains. Like those are both, that's just the zone.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to do anything for that. It was just there. They put mobs in it, they put mechanics around it, and it was there. Like that saves a lot of time.
It does. It's a very clever way of getting a new dungeon out of a system without having to build any new art, which I mean, that's not entirely true because like Operation Floodgate, the majority of it was just the overworld, but there is the part after you kill Swamp Face that you go under. So they did have to build some new parts to it. But like, if that means we get dungeons more often, that they do this combination thing, I like that. I mean, obviously I want to see new dungeons. I want to see unique art and assets and explore new places. Like I want that, but I also understand the economics of stuff sometimes. So you need to take some with the other. And it is a way, so much so that I just assumed that the Echo Dome was going to be just another one of those instances where we're flying around this place and I'm like, oh yeah, that's where that boss is in the instance version. And that's where that one is over there. And maybe look, it's very possible that the reason we don't see it, I'm just as pure conjecture on my point. I haven't looked this up at all, but it's very possible maybe it's going to like show up in the epilogue and that's why we haven't seen it yet. But I don't think so.
Yeah, it just replaces Mana Forge Omega. Or something like that. That's why it's supposed to take place after the raid or whatever.
Can we talk about that for a bit? So we heard that in the announcement, and my immediate reaction to that was, how's that going to work? And then they clarified later that they said like there are cutscenes in the instance that will only play if you are on the epilogue of the campaign. And I was like, okay, I could see how that would work. And then I did the instance. And granted, I didn't see these epilogue cutscenes because I'm not on the epilogue yet. But there's a lot of two characters that we hang out with during the campaign talking to each other and talking about how they betrayed each other and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like the part of the campaign that ends this week is we watch as Zalateth kind of tricks and connives the Soul Scribe character into being on our side and helping us out and giving us the final Reshi rap. And then she like pledges herself to them and says like they'll be our soldiers, or I guess technically Zalateth soldiers going forward. And like, that's where we leave that story. And then you walk into the Echo Dome and it's like the Soul Scribe has betrayed us and she's the final boss of the instance. And I'm like, wait. We missed something here. I just think it was an interesting idea, and I agree, like, we'll definitely get the full story of the thing during the epilogue, and I will enjoy that. But like, it's come on. Like, the story of the instance is there in the instance when you do it. Like, even if you don't get a cutscene, it's still there. And so, interesting experiment to do it this way. I don't think it worked ultimately. Maybe I'll change my tune when I see the epilogue cutscenes, but for right now, week 1, I don't think this worked. I think I now know exactly where the story is going next week, having not played it.
Yeah, I agree. It makes me laugh a little bit because people got a little upset with us when we spoiled the fact that we were going to be hanging out with Zalateth, and that's like the second fucking quest you do in the new zone.
Yeah, I mean they advertised it in the marketing for the patch. So they didn't see it as a spoiler. Yeah.
But this is way worse. Like, arguably, this is way worse than anything you and I have talked about.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and this is Blizzard's own doing. So
it is.
Yeah,
so here's what I think. Okay, so they did this thing, this patch where they wanted M0s to come back the first week, and we've already talked about how much we like that, and we hope they continue to do it. They had this weird problem with Tazavesh hard mode, which we're going to talk about a little bit. Tazavesh hard mode does not have an M0 like the other M0s. It is the equivalent of a 10, and so they could not bring Tazavesh hard mode back this week. So there were just 6 dungeons that we had to run, which made the awkward thing. If you want to fill your vault, you have to run 2 extra dungeons that give you no loot, but whatever, who cares? I think if you look at this in the future and say what they want to do in the future, I think if there's not a hard mode for that season, they will just say the new dungeon of that season is not available this first week. They couldn't say that this time because they already were going to have to take the 2 Tazavesh dungeons away from us, and taking another away from us would be, oh, there's only 5 dungeons, and they felt like they couldn't do that. So if there's not a hard mode available that season, that would just be taking 1 dungeon away from us. I could see them being much more reasonable about doing that. So that's what I think. If they continue this whole thing going forward, I think they're probably going to do that, or they're just going to make it so the campaign happens in the first week anyway. So you're getting the story of the dungeon in that part of the campaign that's available to you week 1. So
sure, yeah. I mean, that would make a lot more sense, but we're gonna see how they implement it, because they've never done this before, and there's nothing saying they're going to continue doing this. So
I like them taking chances and trying new things, and like, it must be very hard in a game that's 20 years old that can only tell the story in a lot of very specific, planned out ways. It must be difficult to be like, how are we going to mix things up? How are we going to do things differently? How are we going to handle this? And so I appreciate them taking the chances to try that. I did not particularly like it this time around.
Mm-hmm. Well, we need to talk about just the Echo Dome in general. We don't have to spend a ton of time here because I think the main part of this is really the story. But how are you feeling about this dungeon in general? It's a short 3-boss dungeon where you have a lot of freedom in what you're pulling and the route at which you want to go through. Obviously, that'll get figured out to be the most efficient thing, and that'll be what people do. But I like the ability to skip a lot of things, and you kind of just have that inherently, even without like a mind soothe or anything in this place.
Yeah, I think it's a cool design. I agree with you. It's probably partially because it was new. It's like some of the most fun I had doing M0s this past week was doing this dungeon. It's really difficult to make a final conclusion on it until we've seen it on a difficulty level that actually requires you to do anything, because even in M0, like these bosses just really fall over. There's not a lot of healing for me to do at all. So like I can see where the pain points are probably going to be. Like there were multiple times this week where I said, oh, that's going to suck on Mythic Plus. But like without ever actually experiencing it, I don't know how to conclude totally. I think the boss designs are in general pretty fun. I think it's interesting that like you see kind of all of them have a slow rising energy bar that pushes them to a intermission phase. Like all of them have that. And I think I think all of them have like a damage phase built into them. So you can kind of like sometimes using the newest content to gauge like where the design philosophy's at is a fun exercise. And it's like, oh, so we're doing this thing. Every single boss I think has like prio damage that needs to be healed. The two people get selected for something. Every single one has a rising energy bar that pushes us into an intermission phase that has AoE healing that need like you kind of see the trends amongst the boss design. But that being said, like I enjoyed them. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I think for the most part, going off of boss mechanics alone, relatively enjoyable. The first boss is really weird to me still in my mind, and I'm hopeful that the patch notes that they released today actually address that. But for those who don't know and are potentially like us and killed the first boss before you actually had to deal with his intermission, you get these pools that you drop, and you probably notice those. And you run those out, you drop them, and it slows anything inside of it. It also slows things from getting sucked into the boss during the intermission because he does this like suck in, and if any of the ads hit him, it heals him. And so you can place those so that the suck in, like it stops the ads from getting sucked in. But the problem is the portals spawn randomly. And the one time that I did make it to the intermission and nobody killed the ads because nobody has killed the ads all week because you just pushed the boss so fast. But we were in a lower damage group, and so we didn't. And the ads hit the boss. We died, obviously, and the boss healed to like 50%. And so like nobody really knew what to do. And then we tried to do it the second time, and the portals just spawned in a completely different spot.
Yeah.
And so we had to AoE CC and then kill the ads. So it feels a little bit disconnected. But that being said, the other two bosses feel like clockwork almost. Like it almost feels like you can do the same thing every single time on those bosses and succeed.
Yeah.
So I actually like that in a fight. Like I like your experience in a fight making the fight easier instead of just being random for random's sake. So I very much so enjoyed the last two bosses.
Yeah, I think the only complaint I might have on the final boss is it feels a little mechanics light for me. Like it's literally just collect your soul. Like there's going to be different patterns of frontals or lines and collect your soul, and that's it. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is there anything else?
That's all we saw.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's pretty mechanic light for a boss. Like it seems like you're going to be able to figure out how to do that one very quickly, and it's just going to become a joke. Like I don't know, maybe from a healer perspective, like the healing is very, very intensive, and it's one of those fights. I don't know. I haven't played it on that difficulty yet, but I had a little complaint there, and I agree with you about the first boss as well. Like it seems like this great mesh of mechanics of like, oh, you can control where these puddles spawn, and then you can funnel the mobs through the puddle to help you kill them in time. But yeah, in actual reality, like that is so unclear and random that you can't actually strategize or plan for that at all. And that to me is just a bad mechanic. So yeah, you're right. There was patch notes for an adjustment to that, and it said they were going to make them more consistent. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're going to spawn at the same spot every single time? That would completely cheese the mechanic, because I feel like you would just stack a line of circles from the spot you know it's going to spawn and just have a very, very easy time with that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Other than that, though, like the routing in the dungeon is pretty wide open and open for interpretation. A lot like Floodgate, a lot like Priory. So all good things and
those
things
are the dungeons
that Scott
I like,
and I've raved about in those dungeons before.
I like those
And
haste pulls that you all channel
mhm.
on it, and it gives you a little haste buff for a little bit. I heard on PTR that those took like way too long to channel into, and didn't give you a buffer long enough to make it worth it. But so no one was doing that. But it seems like when all 5 players channel into it, it's like 2 seconds, and it gives you, I think, 30 seconds of haste. So I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised seeing people kill the pack before the last boss, run back, do that, and then mount up and go to the final boss with like 20 or so seconds worth of haste.
Yeah, that might be worth it. Sure.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of Ecodome. And then the last thing for this week, before we jump into kind of the other things that I wanted to talk about, is the Kaiveza challenge, the Nemesis boss.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
And first off, the people who are doing it this week are kind of just psychopaths because you don't get any rewards for doing the question mark difficulty
You
this
do.
week.
You just can't use them this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I found you still get the achievement. You get the mount, but you can't use the mount because it's just a mount skin for a mount that you don't get until next week. But you do, fortunately, still get the stuff.
Okay, good. Well, on top of that, though, I haven't done any of these Nemesis bosses because they kind of just annoyed me when it was Zekvir and the Underpin.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kaiveza one looks so fun. And I went in there, I tried it on my Hunter. I got absolutely demolished. I said, I'll come back when I have a little bit more gear because her melees were just killing me.
Yeah.
And dude, the mechanics, oh, it's so cool. The only complaint that I have really is the like 3-card Monty part of the fight. And that is because not necessarily just because it's difficult and I don't like hard things. I just don't think that is a fun way to potentially one-shot you. Like,
Yeah.
just because you're 10 minutes into a boss fight and you lost track of one of like 8 different things that are dashing around pretty quick speeds, it just doesn't feel like a fun mechanic for the punishment that you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, that's essentially the
yeah.
fight, though. It's like 4 back-to-back one-shot mechanics that repeat in exact sequence that the sequence ahead of time, and it's just like 10 minutes of concentration and you win. I think it's great. So I've done all of this expansion, unlike you, and I've had very mixed feelings on all of them. Like Zekvir was interesting. It basically was like bring a Windwalker monk and you win, because so like it was this really interesting combination of mechanics that was both there was a high damage check because she spawns an egg, and if you didn't kill the egg before it hatched, something gets out of it and screws you. It had a kick because it has a heal. It had another thing that you could kick that put a poison dot on you, but you didn't want to kick that one because you wanted to focus on the heal. So having something that could remove poison was really advantageous. And so it just kind of like, not saying you could only do it on Windwalker, but it was like this, like I doing it on like I was trying it on other things. I switched to Windwalker and I killed it in like 3 attempts. So it was okay. The Underpin I hated. I hated that fight. I thought it was the worst kind of RNG bullshit. Like, so the way that fight works is he will occasionally spawn ads that appear around the arena, and you're supposed to kick bombs in them. He also spawns bombs that explode after a certain amount of time. You're supposed to kick bombs into the ads, and it was just really, really inconsistent on like, there was seemingly no clear way to make the ads spawn where you wanted to. You would like be standing in a certain area thinking ads would spawn there, and then like almost all of them would, but 2 of them would spawn clear across the arena, and that really fucks you up because now you need to get bombs over there. When you're trying to get bombs over there, the boss will sometimes do a frontal that, like, if you're far away from the boss and they just turn towards you and do a frontal, you're like, fuck, I'm dead. It was just no fun. I did it, I got it, I killed it, but I hated it. And it also had a DPS mechanic because the boss puts up a shield on itself, and you have to DPS the shield down, and if you don't break the shield, the boss heals. So this is the first one that really doesn't have like a hardcore DPS check in it. I mean, it sort of does in that every time the boss goes through a cycle, it will buff its damage by 5%. And so it kind of has like a soft enrage at some point. It'll get too hard to heal through. but that's it. There's no like specific moment in the fight of like you have to kill this in X number of seconds, or there's none of those moments. So it's just really a mechanical check, and it looks so great. It looks so
Mhm.
awesome. Third time's the charm. I think they nailed this. I haven't tried it yet, because I'm kind of like you, and also I'm like I know I'm gonna get like 30 item levels over the course of the next 6 months, so maybe I'll just step into this thing and shorten the fight a little bit, so I don't need to concentrate without making a mistake for 10 minutes. I can do it in 6 minutes instead. um but like I think this is one of these cool like happy accidents that happened with this idea of just of not having everything unlocked this week, but just having a few things unlocked this week. What happened was content creators ran their Mythic Zeros and they're looking for stuff to do. There's nothing to do in the game because they play all day every day and they don't have anything to do. And then someone said, "Oh, there's this really challenging fight that you could do." And it's like, "Ooh, bam, content." And they all jumped on it. And so it was this really very, very temporary, very fun, like how many people can do this week one thing that I kind of got a kick out of. It was cool to see.
hmm Yeah, I agree. The other thing is they didn't really do a ton of new mechanics for this boss, which was also very interesting. They essentially just recycled the mythic mechanics and put them into the boss fight. And then they added the like 3 card Monty thing. But outside of that, I mean, the ideas were already in the game. And so I think that really allowed them to like get the tuning right on this.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
really feels like the tuning is correct for somebody who is going to be 6 or 7, 10 item level or whatever we end up being at the end of the season. Like
Yeah.
it feels like it is going to be a very fair fight. It doesn't feel like you're not going to be able to make any checks. It doesn't like you might still get one shot by things, but there are also things that are completely avoidable.
Mhm.
So it just, I don't know. I feel like they really nailed the tuning, and maybe that's because they didn't have to worry about creating a ton of new mechanics or anything like that.
Yeah. If a healer could do it week one, which they have, then it means the DPS check, that like the soft and rage DPS check, is not that bad. It means that by the point in the season when you're like close to 7-10 item level or whatever, it's probably not going to be that bad. It's not going to be hard from a damage perspective. The cool thing about it is that it's always going to be hard from a mechanics perspective. It always is. There's never going to be a time when those mechanics will not one shot you if you do them wrong. So the DPS portion of it is to make the fight shorter, so you don't have to you don't have as much opportunity to fuck up over the course of a long fight. But it's in my mind exactly what solo content should be, in that it's
Mhm.
challenging. I think Teddle said this best. I was watching his video on it. It's challenging, but it feels very fair. It's challenging in a very fair way. You know exactly how these mechanics work. You know the pass fail of it, and you just execute on it. And if you do that, you will win. And like that's the carbon opposite of Underpin, where it's just like, oh, the guy spawned all the way across and you're fucked. Sorry. Or even like Zekvir, like there were times in Zekvir when I'd be doing it and like my brand would just die because he stood in something, like he stood in a circle, and I'll be like, what the fuck, dude? What, like that shouldn't happen. Like I'm the one taking damage. Why are you dying? And I definitely had a few attempts on that one that died just because Brand decided to die randomly. And so those were frustrating things that I felt were imperfect designs. And obviously I haven't done it yet, but I've watched a lot of it, and it looks great. It really does.
Mhm. Well, we need to move on a little bit, Scott, because we have spent about an hour now talking about the past week, and there's a couple of other things that I want to chat through.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest thing is we need to talk about this change that they made to the reward structure of Tazavesh hard mode.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who haven't read, and I alluded to this at the very beginning, you can do a deathless run in which you are rewarded, everybody in the group, with a 1 out of 6 myth track item at the end, which is great. Like if you do this, the rate at which you are acquiring mythic pieces is faster than if you were to go into the mythic raid itself. So it is something that you want to try and make the most of every week if you can.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a new caveat to this. With Dawn of the Infinite, it was per instance, you could not die. So if
Yeah.
you died, you run out, you reset it, you go back in, you try again. It is weekly now. You get one shot every week. You walk into the dungeon, you have this buff on you. If anybody dies, everybody loses the buff. If you kill a boss with somebody who doesn't have the buff, you lose the buff. If you kill Solia before you've killed every other boss with the buff, you lose the buff. So it also gets you into this weird situation where if you go into an M0, you're not intending to do hard mode, or maybe you're about to do a Mythic Plus key or something like that, but you're in the M0 and somebody is fucking around, jumps off the edge and dies, your entire group loses the buff for the week.
Oops.
So, like, be very careful doing Mythic Plus keys and being in the lobby in Tazavesh if you haven't done this already for the week, because some rando could just be fucking around, jumping on their mount, fall off the edge, and then ruin your chance for the week.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Dawn of the Infinites on a Deathless run did drop myth track items. I don't believe it dropped a myth track item for every person in the group. I just think the chest at the end of the dungeon, if you did a Deathless run, had myth track items in the same number that like any end of chest run would have in them. This Tazavesh, if you kill this like Deathless, every single person in your group gets a myth track item from the Tazavesh dungeon pool. That is huge. And it's like, that is why they've hidden it behind this like very difficult once and it's over per week thing, because it's guaranteed myth track loot for 5 people. There is no other system in the game that gives something like that. And so they put it behind this kind of impossible almost barrier. And I think like for the average player, no one's going to fuck with this really. It does really interesting things for like the top end player though. Like you think about Race to World first, right? Are they going to stop and try this? Like I have no doubts that any Race to World first player could successfully do this thing deathless. But when would they do it, right? Like there's some really interesting strategy things that pop up here. Do they wait? Do they save it for the very end of the week when they have the highest item level? And maybe what they do is they go through all their splits until they've kind of found which character is going to be their character for the raid. And then that's when they do it. And then like if they fuck up and something happens, do they trash that character? Like maybe not. Maybe it's not that impactful for someone killing mythic bosses on week 1, but like it does bring a lot of interesting implications for that. I think there's a lot of people that have been like, this is gonna make like it's gonna be so toxic. It's gonna be so toxic in Group Finder for this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't think this is designed for people to pug. I really don't. I really don't. So I think it's okay to have this kind of very hard, very difficult content that if you pull it off flawlessly, rewards something huge that requires coordination. It requires you to come in with a group that knows what they're doing. Like this kind of stuff doesn't exist very often in the game. And I think it's great. I do agree with you that you like, there's so many chances to fucking troll people and stuff like that. I didn't think about the fact that if you're in the zone waiting to put a key in and someone could just walk in the dungeon and jump off the edge and just fuck you. Like there's people are absolutely going to do that.
Yep. And they're going to do it for no reason other than they can.
Yeah. They're going to look at you. They're going to see you have the buff and they're going to go like, haha.
Yeah. So if you are doing a Tazavesh key in this first week, before you do this, I recommend standing outside of the dungeon until everybody is ready.
Well, would that work? Like if you're in the group, if someone jumps out and you're outside the dungeon, would you still lose the debuff?
No, you have to be in the zone.
Okay. Okay.
But
you're good.
I don't know, like if they don't have the debuff or if they don't have the buff and then they do it, do you lose yours? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
This is something I hope that Blizzard patches. Like you shouldn't lose your buff if you haven't actually started the dungeon yet. So I don't think you should really lose your buff until you've like killed a mob or something like that in the hard mode.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel right that you aren't even attempting this thing. Like There's
Yeah, I
ways
agree.
for them to tell if you're attempting it. And if you are attempting it, then you lose your buff if somebody dies. But if you aren't, then it just feels weird that you would lose your buff. So
I agree. Are you gonna want to try this week one? I mean, like, there's part of me that goes like, we might as well try it. Like, you might as well every week, like, at least walk in the place and give it a shot. And then the second you die, you're like, okay, good attempt this week. We'll try again next week.
yeah, I want to try it this first week. It just like I would like to have 5 people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're not pugging this shit. No way.
And
No way.
that's the question mark, right?
Mhm.
Especially with our open slot really being a tank right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did hear, and this, I don't know if this has been confirmed. This is just a rumor I heard, that if you walk into this hard mode, even if you this doesn't require a deathless run, but if the first thing you do when the servers come up on Tuesday is walk into the hard mode and complete it, the key that you will get at the end of the dungeon will be level 10 or level 11. You will be awarded a key that is about the level of what the vault would give you, because this does give you, if you do this hard mode, you will get the equivalent of a plus 10 key in vault. So I have heard that you will also be able to leapfrog all the baby keys if you do this and get like a plus 10 right away, which, I mean, that would be a pretty huge change. I think all the top end players would absolutely take advantage of that.
Yeah, so I've heard from Yoda at least that the tuning in this place, when they were doing it with like 707 item level or whatever they had on the PTR, felt fine,
Mhm.
almost easy. So people should be able to do this week one, right? Like in theory, we're talking people are probably going to get somewhere in the realm of like 10 to maybe 15 item levels in this first week, assuming you run an insane amount of dungeons and you get gear for every slot and yada, yada, yada. So this should be okay, but I think it's really going to push people at least week one to do this at the end of the week. I don't think they're going to want to do it at the beginning, and so I don't think they're going to use this to leapfrog the keys.
I think you're probably right. Like, it just makes sense to do it that way. You want maximum item level going into it. So yeah, but man, wouldn't that be cool though?
It would be awesome. But yeah, so hard mode Tazavesh, Yoda has a video going over all of the mechanics and kind of the way to go about doing these mechanics so that you don't find yourself in a bad spot. He goes over what bosses are good to lust. And if you want to be the group that waits for lust on every boss, be my guest, but I don't think that that's necessarily needed. But there's no timer, so take your time, do whatever. So
some of these mechanics look really hard, man. I mean, like the mailroom of catching the thing that plants you in place. I think that's going to kill so many people.
Well, it is confirmed that like freedom and things like that will get you out of the route.
Okay.
So you can have a paladin who just freedoms himself, picks up the briefcase, throws it, picks up another one, throws it, and calls it good.
You can also throw it to yourself, I believe. So you like throw it a little bit of ways in front of you, and this, as soon as you throw it, it unlocks the route, and you just catch it yourself. So you can do that. It's just like, that's going to take a lot of coordination. Like, there's already going to be people that die to that mechanic just in Mythic Plus. So
it's going to become a healer mechanic. Like the healer is going to post up by whatever chute is open, and then they're going to be the one that gets all the things thrown at them, and then they're going to have to throw it into the chute. Like,
I hate this.
It's either that or it's going to be a ranged DPS, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. It is cool that this will also just get easier over time, right? Mm-hmm. And what it means is that, you know, us non-mythic raiders have a potential second source for getting some myth track items, and that's pretty exciting. Like, if by the time we're 707, 710, we can do this pretty consistently every week, that's 2 myth track items potentially every week. That's pretty nice.
Assuming you don't already have all of them from Tazavesh.
Yeah. You're right.
But okay, Scott, we got to talk about one of the bosses in the raid, and we're not going to go over a full raid breakdown, but we watched the videos for all of the raid bosses, and you know, all of them are pretty straightforward. You kind of understand what's going on. They've got some cool mechanics, and then you look at Nexus King, and dude, my brain broke the second I saw that they were like duplicated frontal beams, and I was just like, there's no point in even watching the rest of the video. Like, raids are going to wipe to that specific mechanic 4 hours before people figure it out. So why even watch past that? Like you gotta become a master of dodging 900 million rotating fucking beams before you can even do the rest of the fight.
I could not believe how many mechanics there are in this fight. Like it is the penultimate boss, which the penultimate boss is not easy, right? They're usually kind of difficult, and I'm fine with them being difficult. But man, like I think a good example of this is like if you look at some of the other bosses in the raid. So Fractilis, which is the boss right before this one, the ready check pull video is 3 minutes long. The ready check pull video for Nexus King is 7.5 minutes, which is 2 minutes longer than the fucking Demon Hunter boss, which takes forever to explain because there's 3 Demon Hunters all doing different mechanics. Let's be clear here. I think it looks fun as shit. I just think it is going to be a real wall for a lot of groups.
It does beg the question, like, what is Dimensius if this isn't even the final boss?
Yeah. I'm excited. You know what this one feels like? I said this to you when we were watching the video. More than anything, this feels like a Final Fantasy 14 boss. I know we're not allowed to make these comparisons, but it's not totally scripted, but it definitely feels like this is a thing in which you were like more than anything, your very precise positioning is going to matter. Your very precise resolving of mechanics is going to matter. It feels like a dance in that way. That feels like very like an ultimate in Final Fantasy, because it also seems like a very long fight. But I have no idea how these rotating breath beams are going to be handled. I mean, presumably we'll find a strategy for them that like where to properly put the boss or put the circles to deal with this. But yeah, holy shit, man. Holy shit.
The other thing that it was really cool in this fight, just visually, was the ball mechanic that comes out. The like spiked balls, and then they shoot out balls, and then they're rotating in heroic. Like it just visually looks very cool. And
not only do you got to dodge the lines from those, but you also have to aim things at them to kill them.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like in the number of different phases and the length of the fight and the complexity of the fight, it does feel like an end boss. Of course, it's not. We got Dimensius coming right after it, but man,
we just gotta hope that Dimensius isn't quite the like step down that Gallywix was from Muggsy. I think.
Yeah, I just don't think that's gonna happen. Like I don't like. I think they're gonna, if anything, overtune this boss. Like mechanically, like we don't know much about Dimensius. The one thing we absolutely do know is the dungeon journal, and like it's the longest dungeon journal ever. It's so long. There's so many mechanics going on there. So even if it's tuned easier relatively, it's mechanically complex in a way that I don't think Gallywix was.
Yeah.
For the Race to World First Raiders. Yeah.
Gallywix wasn't a terrible final boss for Heroic. Like it wasn't easier than Muggsy. I think that's debatable. I would say, yeah, probably, but I don't think by much. I don't think it was in the realm of easier than Muggsy as it was on Mythic, week 2 or whatever they kill the boss at. So, but yeah, it has me completely, like Nexus King has me completely both excited and terrified of Dimensius.
Yep. And we'll get to see him tomorrow, man. I mean, only on Heroic, but we'll get to see him tomorrow.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So for the last thing that I have on this is Nexus King Salad Bar or whatever his name is that Kaiveza's dad?
I guess so.
What's the lore, Scott? You're the lore guy.
I don't fucking know. Ask Nobble, man. I my knowledge of the lore is I did the quests in Tazavesh.
But all right, we need to talk about the Midnight Leaks a little bit because I think this is important to cover on the show. So there were leaks that happened around midnight. By the way, if you don't want to hear this, it's already been on Wowhead for over a week now at this point. But if you don't want to hear this, this is your spoiler warning to
I,
not listen
are
until the
there
announcement.
are there any spoiler warnings here? I think the leaks are just like what comes in the pre-order shit.
Sure, but I just like whatever. So what got leaked was essentially the packs at which we can pre-order.
Yeah.
So what the rewards are for pre-ordering those things. There's going to be a lot of hate around this. I can already tell you, Scott, because not only are they bringing back what people hated with The War Within and giving us early access for 3 days, they are doing essentially everything that they did with The War Within. So you can pre-order it, you get into the alpha or beta or whatever, you get early access for 3 days. But on top of that, they're adding early access to housing. And they don't say specifically, I'm sure we'll find this out next week when it gets announced, but they don't say specifically when that is.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be even more contentious than the last time, albeit Scott and I will probably jump on this because not only do we need to do this to make content to keep up with everybody else, but we're just that degenerate anyways. So
Yeah. So the good news is that the early access to housing is not locked behind the higher tiers of pre-order, right? If you pre-order the game at the $50 level, you will get early access to housing. So that's good. They did the thing that everyone does now where the $70 tier is awful. It sucks. You get like barely anything, and it's just a tool to make the $90 look more attractive by comparison. It's really fucked up how they like this is just a marketing ploy. Like if you look at people like there's always like the middle level, like the medium level of like a food or drink or something that is basically made just cheaper than the biggest one, to make the biggest one be like, oh, well, that's only $2 more. And this is just a thing that marketing does now. And that's what this game is doing. So yeah, the $70, I think you get an additional mount and that's pretty much it. And then yeah, at $90, as you said, you get the beta access, you get the 3-day head start, which as a advocate for consumers, I think the 3-day head start sucks. As a person who plays this game, I will continue to pay money for it every single time. So, I mean, that you can call that hypocritical, fine. I acknowledge that, but that is just simply the case for me.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing to really call out here, though, is people are going to make the argument that the 3-day head start doesn't really get you much, and ultimately, it doesn't. But it does. Like we saw this with The War Within, where it's like people thought that like, oh, well, there's going to be no content in the first 3 days and yada yada yada. But when the content does open and does release, you are max level, you're ready to go, and it's there. And so it does get you a pretty significant boost over those who don't do this thing.
Yes, I mean, I will say that like if we rewind back to the launch of The War Within, we both kind of felt very quickly that we ran out of stuff to do in the first couple weeks of that expansion. And the idea that if we hadn't have taken that 3 extra days, we would have had a little bit of more time to do all that other stuff. But yeah, I also at the same time think you're lying if you don't think it gives you some sort of advantage. Like I leveled like 6 classes to 80 in those 3 days. So yeah. Like, yeah,
I think the other major thing,
head start.
Yeah, I think the other major thing too is it all comes down to whether they do heroic week for the first raid or not too. Like if there's no heroic week, this gets even more crazy, right?
Yeah. I don't even know how that all shakes out, but you also, I think with the $90 edition get some furniture that is unique to that edition. So like there's some housing, which I mean, the least surprising announcement ever, right? I think we figured that from the very beginning that for the rest of the game's life now, they will attach unique housing items to cash shop, to pre-order bonuses, to everything. It's going to be everywhere. This is like not surprising at all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like it's just kind of the way it is now. Am I in love with spending $90 on a game every 2 years or maybe even 18 months now? No. Will I do it? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm sick in the head.
I completely agree. Like, I think that this is ultimately terrible when it comes to like understanding your player base and like what they want and everything. Like, this is so out of touch. Um, but on the other hand, people are going to do it, and Scott and I are both going to do it despite not liking the idea, which makes us hypocritical, which makes them continue to do things like this. And I completely understand that. But on the other, like the farthest part from this that I need to remind people of, Scott and I, neither one of us bought the $100 auction house mount, which is more than the $90 expansion and gets you one singular mount, where the $90 expansion gets you the whole expansion and everything else that comes with it, and a character
and 2
boost.
mounts. There's
Yeah,
2 mounts
like,
in there.
I,
That's a deal.
I feel like they are going to continue doing things like this, and I think that there are way, way, way worse things that are driving them to do this than the pre-order bonus from the expansions, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about it back in the War Within, like this is just they ran the numbers and they said that this will make us more money than it will lose us. That the value of the money we get from this will outweigh the goodwill and public sentiment damage that it causes. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're a business. They're going to do that if they make that calculation. They're going to do it. And do I love that? No. Do I recognize that I am perpetuating that system by participating in it? Yes. But that is the contradiction of a human being living in the world. That is just the way it works. So, yeah, not a fan, but I'm not a fan of how we treat animals, and I still eat them. So,
well,
you know,
I think to clarify, no shame or hate to anybody who bought the $100 amount. By the way, I already feel you typing the angry comments at me.
Yeah, to clarify on Tevin's clarification, absolute utmost shame on you.
But only from Scott. So type your angry comments at him, and I will ignore them.
Bring him, yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, this is just capitalism, right? Like, we live in a capitalist market, and we're just gonna have to deal with the fact that Blizzard is a corporation that wants to make money. So
Yep.
They're gonna do that in the best way possible. Yeah. As far as like Midnight Leaks go, that was like the main thing. We did get an announcement that they're doing the main like keynote announcement on is it the 18th or 19th?
It is the 19th. It is Tuesday at noon. Wait, at 1 Central, so 11. It's 11 Pacific. It's 1 my time because I have a meeting at work at 2, and I'm hoping it will be over by then. And then I have my performance review at work at 3. So I hope that goes well because I'll be watching the World Warcraft announcement right before it.
I'll have to message Scott to figure out what's going on afterwards.
Oh yeah, you'll be a little busy.
Yeah, I might be in a hospital. But so yeah,
I can imagine you having the stream on your phone. Yeah, push.
There's no way. That not only would I feel awful for that, but there is no, like, the hospital staff alone would like throw me out of the room. I guarantee it.
Babe, Illidan's back.
Is there anything else around Midnight Leaks though? Like, I'm pretty sure it was just the like pre-order bundles.
That was, I mean, like, I don't want to get into lore shit, but there was like this whole thing where some of the housing stuff you got called Illyria like the Ranger General, which she has never been. And so it's like, oh, is that like a spoiler that she's going to be named Ranger General of Silvermoon or whatever? I like the lore in this game. I could not care less about that particular thing. So that's like the only other thing. And it's like, we're also in this really fun phase right now in WoW where like fake leaks are coming out all the time. So there's been a couple of fun fake leaks I've seen over on the Reddit the last couple of days, but this was like, not anything that could not be confirmed, because it was literally just like the BattleNet launcher accidentally updated to show the pre-order bonuses. Like it still had all the artwork from the pre-order bonuses from The War Within. Like they clearly, someone flipped a switch they weren't supposed to flip, and they very quickly unflipped it, but too late.
Yeah, somebody got it.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it.
All right, cool. Well, is there anything else that we need to cover today, Scott? Is there anything else we missed?
No, I don't think so. I mean, happy season start, everyone. I hope your first week goes awesome. Hope you get to kill some bosses and do some Mythic Plus and grind for some gear. My advice for all of you out there is to chill. It's gonna be okay. It's a long season. You don't have to do it all here this first week. If you don't get your Mythic 10 timed, or not even timed, just done in this week, it's not going to be the end of the world. I promise you. I promise you. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, but also if you want Echo to win the race to world first, or Method, I hope you get no gear this week. And,
Whoa.
To be fair, we do need to talk about this because we did this with Liberation of Undermine. Scott, predictions. Who's going to win and when? We kind of did this last week, but official who's going to win?
Official predictions.
What day are they going to take it? We are locking them in today.
Liquid is going to win the race on August the 23rd.
Okay.
Wait, 24th. 24th. Sorry, I thought the 23rd was Sunday. Sunday, August 24th.
Okay, I'm sticking with what I said last week, and I'm saying Liquid's going to win on the 25th. So,
God, you prices.
We'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. I'm just saying.
So is it closest without? What if it dies at? So if it dies at like 12:01 on the 25th, you win.
That's the 25th, in my opinion. Well, we got to talk. Like, what time zone?
Whichever one results in me winning.
I think to make this fair, we have to do it Pacific time, since
all right,
that's where
local
Liquid's
time for
rating.
Liquid. It's gonna be funny when we both lose because Liquid doesn't win.
because of time zones.
Yeah, like where it's gonna be on the 23rd, but at 1 a.m. my time, or like 1 a.m. my time, so 11 p.m. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
What I want more than anything is a close, exciting race. These boss fights look very cool, and I mean in both like their design seems cool and just literally the look of the boss fights looks very cool. It looks like it's going to be very fun to watch teams prog on these bosses. I'm pretty excited about it. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to have this stream open at my desk at work in a way that people don't notice. But I get to see as much of the race as I possibly can. Although I will say that one of my coworkers just had Twitch open on Thursday last week with the Battlefield 6 stuff because they were trying to get beta access. So they needed to watch Twitch for a certain amount of time, and they just had it on one of their monitors. I'm like, oh, look, that's Battlefield. Okay. So maybe I can just be like brazen about it and be like, no, you don't understand. This is probably part of my job. Yeah.
They're doing splits. Yeah. I need to see it.
It is nice that like this week I'm definitely going to be like following it, and I'm definitely going to tune in like the first time guilds get to Dimensius because I want to see Dimensius. But like I really don't have to like start like following it really intently until later in the week and then next week. So
yeah. All right. Well, we've got our predictions locked in. We're doing it based off of Pacific time because we both want Liquid to win, and that's when Liquid's going to be rating. But I think my biggest thing, Scott wants it to be a close race. I want the same, but I would like to see it be a 3-horse race for once. And Method has not only gotten a huge roster bump, but seems like they've really been ramping up their like PR too. So I almost wonder if like they really significantly think that they have like a very real shot at this. And so I'm hopeful that there is going to be a 3-horse race, and it isn't just like, oh, it's Echo and Liquid and they're on the final boss and the next best person is like 50% on the boss before them or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I think the health of the race says that having another guild kind of creep into competition is going to be good for it. I also like, as much as I want Liquid to win, which obviously I do, like an expansion sweep is a pretty big deal. And like for the health of the race, you wonder like, do we want one team dominating this much? I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll see what happens, because in a blink of an eye, it can just all go away. I mean, think about Echo and the MDI. So
True.
all right, guys. Well, that's all we have for you this week. And again, no show next week. And the week after that, or whenever we resume, I'm hopeful it will be the week after that. Potentially different schedule. And as I said, whenever we figure that out, I'll try and put that on our socials so that you guys know.
Yeah, this guy's got to get his life in order. He's got a whole human person that's about to be in his house that he has to take care of forever.
Yeah.
Give him a break.
Forever.
Forever. Yep.
It's going to be interesting. But my question for you guys is how was your week one? And did you do a million delves? Because Scott and I did more than one too many delves. And like I said, I don't really want to do them anymore, but I'm going to have to do bountiful delves next week. So did you do a million delves? And what was your experience? So as always, contact us.
We're going to have to do 8 fucking delves next week.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have done all of my weekly shit on my hunter, all of it, and I still only have 2 keys, so I might only be doing 6. We'll see. Or I'll just get gypped again and I'll only do 4. I you know what? I don't think I'm gonna bitch about it too much. Yeah. It'll be fine.
It will be fine. I mean, like, we're gonna be able to farm heroic gear. Like, I actually don't even know, because it's just champion gear, right? Out of the bountiful.
Yeah, because you have to do the map to get the hero piece.
Yeah, you definitely want to get the map to get the hero piece. But
you do get crests now, and you get if you do an 11, you get like a not insignificant amount of gilded crests.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on where we think we're going to be, because like if you're hitting 7s like really quickly, you're getting hero gear and you're getting gilded crests. Like it might not be even worth it to spend that much time on delves. Like I think
perfect.
I think in season 1, the reason why we like the keys and the delves were so much important that first week is because we didn't have Mythic Plus. That we had the bountiful delves, but we didn't have Mythic Plus yet, and so the bountiful delves were like the only way to earn champion gear. Now we can get champion gear from doing a 2.
Well, it used to be hero 2 in season 1, right?
Did it? I don't think so. I think hero was always only out of the
it's
map.
just no. You had to do higher keys to get hero track.
Yes,
gear.
That was it. Yeah. You had to do like a 6 to get champion gear. I think maybe a 4, something about somewhere around there. Yeah, gosh, man, maybe we don't have to do bountiful delves at all.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna do them now. Now that you're saying this, I'm just not gonna do. I
guess I want to check how much undercoin I have to see if I have enough money to buy the item that guarantees I get the map, and then do the map delve to get the hero piece, and then just be fucking done with it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, all of this is still in line with the question that I asked you guys. So contact us over at yellingintothevoidwow@gmail.com. YouTube is at yellingintothevoidwow, and Twitter and Blue Sky are both at Into the Void Wow.
And if you are not subscribed to this podcast, please do so to make sure you never miss an episode. Although we will not be here the first week of season 3, we will be here for the rest of season 3. Oh, okay, maybe not the first 2 weeks. The point is, we're going to be here all throughout the season. We're going to be here for the midnight announcement when that happens. We're going to be doing stuff, and you don't want to miss it. So subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, pretty much anywhere else in the world podcasts can be found. I'm debating like streaming at some point, committing to some streams, maybe not this week, but like over the course of the season, maybe doing some streams, just to have some fun in the game publicly. So yeah, just you don't want to miss it. So subscribe all that stuff.
Some Scott streams. All right. I'm down for that.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a long time. I'm rusty.
Also, guys, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting on YouTube on Scott's streams, because I'm assuming he'll do that on YouTube and probably Twitch multi-stream if we end up doing that.
Figure out how to do that. I don't know.
It's pretty easy. You got it. You'll figure it out. But all of that gets us more exposure, helps us introduce us to more people, and continue to create the content that we make here. So again, liking, subscribing, and commenting on YouTube, following and commenting on the Spotify, or any of our socials, please. All of that helps us out greatly. But guys, until not next week, but the following week, we'll just be over here yelling into the void.